What's up, everybody? It's Elisa, the Funky Latina, and welcome to a very special edition of Let's Hear It. Tonight, I am interviewing Divino Nino, which consists of a couple band members, which is why we've switched to this different platform. So unfortunately, this is not a live interview, but it will be briefly edited and uploaded ASAP. So you will still get that live, that raw, that unfiltered conversation. So stay tuned and welcome my amazing guest, Divino Nio. Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. Like I said, my name is Elisa and I'm the Funky Latina. And I love to interview, I call this segment Let's Hear It. And it's an opportunity for me to interview artists as well as fellow music lovers. So as we get started, would you each mind briefly just introducing yourself and let us know where you're tuning in from?
My name is Camilo, and I'm tuning in from Chicago.
My name is Guillermo. I'm also tuning in from Chicago.
My name is Javier, tuning in for Chicago as well.
Nice, awesome. And I'm Elisa, the Funky Latina. I'm actually in Phoenix, Arizona. So,
Sick.
Awesome. So I'm actually a new fan of Divino Nio. I began listening to you guys when you released your album Foam, and since then I've had it on repeat. I featured your single Melty Caramelo on my Soul Sunday playlist. And so I'd love to learn more about you guys, about the band. And so could you guys tell me a little bit about yourself and kind of like what shaped your musical journey?
Yeah, I can start. A little bit about myself. I'm born in Colombia. I was born in Colombia. When it comes to music, I don't know, I think like I started playing music in bands with Javier because we met in Colombia when we were like 5 or 6. Mm-hmm. And then we coincidentally found each other again in Miami. And in Miami, we started playing in a Christian band. And from then, we've been just playing music. So I think that's how it started. I just wanted to learn how to play guitar after I seen Blink-182 play guitar. And I don't know, I thought that was cool. So that's my journey.
I was born in Puerto Rico. I moved around a lot. At some point, I was living in Mexico, and my mom hired a piano teacher to come and teach my sisters and I how to play piano. Mm-hmm. And I was like at 7, and sometimes the teacher would show up and I would just run. I would just run away. It was super embarrassing. So, and then from there I like jumped around to a bunch of instruments, but now I'm playing guitar with these guys.
Nice. Where in Puerto Rico were you born?
Bayamon.
Cool. I have family in Maya West.
Oh, nice. So do I.
That's cool. I'm like, maybe we're related. Just kidding.
It's a good chance.
Yeah, there's a chance. Awesome. And what about you, Javier?
Yeah, I play bass in Divino, and I mean I also sing and we write songs together. How I started, it's hard to say, but I think I had also a piano teacher, and I was like listening. I was like learning how to play Celeste Stereo. And actually Cam taught me how to play guitar, and then from then on I was just like, I actually want to play bass. I found myself playing bass because I think we needed a bassist.
Well, actually, you know what? Javi started playing bass because we were part of this church, Culty Church, and our singer got like a dream from God that Javier was gonna be playing bass. So Javier was like, okay, do you remember that, Javi? Because that's why you play bass, because we both wanted to play it. I mean, we both wanted to play guitar, but then our singer, leader of the whatever, he was like, God told me, I saw you playing bass in front of multitudes, and Javier was like, okay.
Another time I was like, all right. I didn't question anything, you know. I was like, sure.
Yeah.
In front of multiverses.
Yeah. That's so awesome. One thing I think that's really interesting about your band is not just the musical journey, but the literal like traveling journey. You started in Colombia, You played in Miami, now you're all based in Chicago. How has that influenced either you like creatively or like musically? And do you think that's reflected in your sound?
I mean, probably, right? I mean, the only way to know is to see an alternate reality when we didn't travel and to be like, okay, let's hear those songs, you know. But I think like I think it has influenced us in the way where like um you know, I the way I grew up is I don't know, 2 or 3 times a year, my parents would hire live musicians to come and play at the birthday party. But they were like legit shredders, you know. They would play vallenato, merengue, salsa, and stuff like that. But they would be shredders, and this is what they do. They play birthday parties. So I think I was just remembering this that they would always hire people, and in my family, it's just like there's dance parties at your house, like a dozen times a year. You know, I feel like this is the way Colombians deal with the eternal void of darkness, probably, you know, by dancing so many times a year. So you know, I forgot even the question, but I just really wanted to mention that because something I thought about recently.
Actually, that kind of leads me into my next question. Like, I think that's a very cultural thing. Like, I also like, my mother is Mexican, my dad's Puerto Rican, and that's why like I kind of became the funky Latina. Like, music has been a big part of my culture. And for any of you, whoever wants to answer, is like, how does like your culture or your background play into the music you create, or to play into you as being a creative?
I mean, I'll start with this one. I think as of recently, is has been the most important thing in my life, and I think my homies can probably attest to that as well. Maybe, who knows? I don't want to speak for everybody, but I feel like yeah, I mean, I think just part of like making music is also finding yourself as an artist and then realizing, oh shit, like I live in America, like I'm speaking English, but this is like the real me, the OG me is this. And like I speak Spanish and I come from this background and and obviously that is embedded into who you are. And I feel like it's gotta just be part of like your artwork. It just comes more naturally. And I think that to me, that discovery is so important, especially in like with the new music that we're making and the new yeah, it's just the new art that we're just creating. I think it's directed more towards like our roots, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
That's awesome.
This isn't like totally on that subject, but it's like I was thinking of like at some point eventually I got like really into like salsa, like old school salsa, like Tito Puente from like the 50s and stuff, and it was like, wow, this stuff is really good. And it's kind of funny because like I play this stuff around my parents and they're like, this stuff is so corny. Why are you listening to this? It's sort of like generational remove.
And now you love it.
No.
Right. Because I feel like growing up, there was a lot of music my parents listened to that I wasn't into. And then the older I got, I became like more appreciative of it. Like, I'm like, okay, now I get it. I understand why.
Dude, we've been going through so many like, oh my god, like remember this band, remember this song, and it's just like what, like it's like I do remember that, but I didn't like listen to it in the way that I'm listening to it now, like attentively, like this is a song, and like like Salserin, like I think Cam and they share like Salserin and Proyecto Uno. There's been like a couple, yeah.
Tiburon, yeah.
Yeah, there's been a couple like tracks where just like Andres Calamar, like stuff like that, like we like all the rock en español that like we kind of like grew up on, but like we like I don't know, like didn't like pay attention to it at the time or like listen to it actively, and now it's like coming back to me and I'm like, dude, this is actually pretty fucking cool. Like, so anyhow.
No, I think that's
Yeah.
an interesting point, because I think that especially now, I guess it's kind of trendy to be Latino, and it's like I've seen this change in like old school reggaeton compared to the new wave of reggaeton. I mean, I just
Real
reggaeton, like that's just showing the differences, because I remember growing up listening to reggaeton and it was like Nina Sky, Noriega. Like I literally remember buying the Noriega CD. So what do you guys think about that? Just like that, the the music, and I feel like it's being more embraced by the industry, but sometimes I'm like, I don't want another Daddy Yankee song.
True.
That's like
You know,
a
yeah,
white girl.
totally. I don't know, reggaeton has had a funny evolution for me because I remember I used to really not vibe with it, especially when I lived in Miami. I
Mhm.
lived in Miami for like 10 years, and I just remember the time that I was there, which was like mid 2000s to
Mhm.
like, yeah, mid 2000s, pretty much 2000 till 2010 sort of thing. And I just remember thinking, man, reggaeton sucks. Like, is the worst vibe ever. And then, but for whatever reason, right now, I mean, honestly, just like that's why you know that saying like, watch out who you make fun in high school.
Yeah.
Like, like watch out. It's the same thing. Like, no matter what I think is bad, at some point I will like it. And it is true that right now, I guess, like you're saying, like maybe it could be the fact that Bad Bunny has had so
Mhm.
many number ones in a row that right now it seems like, also like with this, racial situation that I mean, I think a lot of factors,
Yeah.
but it's definitely, yeah, I've also I've been noticing that for the past 2 years at least, I've become very aware that, like you said, it's trendy to be like Latin, which is so weird to me. How can like being like having an ethnic background be trendy? It's funny.
And it kind of like it's weird, especially for me in Arizona because um like I didn't cross the border crossed us, and it's like there's a lot
Oh,
of political tension in Arizona when it comes to like Latinx communities, Hispanic communities. It's heavily Mexican and Mexican American population here, and so it's like it's cool to see like this revolution of finally taking note of our culture and our genres and like they embrace, but it's like there's like don't just like my music, like us as human beings as well.
exactly.
Definitely.
That's definitely it.
How do you guys feel about when it comes to social justice, and like do you feel like as artists like you have a opportunity, or like you should be talking about topics like this?
I think I I think that implementing with what's going on right now,
Mhm.
I think, for example, something that I've noticed is that we're realizing that this, in at least in America, what I've noticed is that there seems to be this individualistic type of thinking where it's I step on other people to get to the top, and
Mhm.
that's the whole danger and messed up thing about capitalism and everything is like, you know, like making way to climb to the top, and really we're starting to realize that that doesn't work out. And I think like so I think that collaborating with one another, I feel like that's where the strength is at. So I don't personally feel like I need to be singing about that
Yeah.
uh to be um I think for me it's more like the way that I approach things, the way that I approach friendships, songwriting,
Yes.
record labels, music videos, is the way that you approach everything. Maybe to not approach it with that patriarchal uh mentality, as of like me, the top, you,
Yeah.
F you, you know what I'm saying? I think like just the general approach to be more, have more awareness of other cultures, have more awareness of our surroundings,
Yeah.
because I feel like the way I've been realized is that it's been feeling very independent, very like we're not aware of each other. That's why this COVID thing is so bad, because like some people don't want to wear the mask. You know what I'm saying? If we in Japan, I feel like it didn't spread that crazy because they work more like community. We work towards the community. Yeah, so I think for me, maybe in terms of the lyrical content we've been working on lately, it feels more like I don't personally feel like I'm writing about that specifically about social justice,
Yeah.
but I'm writing about personal ways that my personal life can be less of that individualistic mentality, just in my personal life, how I can do that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to put it, because it's like, yeah, you can write a song and say whatever on the radio, but actions speak a lot louder than words. So like you said, collaboration, working with artists who maybe share the same values as you is, and just existing, honestly, like being a Latino band is, existence is resistance. So like doing that, I feel like is not necessarily protest, but
Yeah.
is an act of justice, speaking out. Like you're not the Beatles, like you're a different kind of group and it has a different representation.
Yeah.
Although I will say it did some foam. Let's talk about foam, because it did kind of remind me a little bit of the Beatles, and
Sick.
it may be because I actually listened to the album with my parents. I was visiting them. We've all been in like lockdown forever, it feels like. And I was like, all right, I'm gonna give you guys, I gave my mom and dad a manicure, and I put on the album, and like we played it from front to back. And my dad's like, who are these guys? Like they loved it.
That's amazing to hear.
Yeah, so it's really cool that like, a multi-generational household can listen to the same album and to like love the music. It's really cool. Can you guys talk about the album and like where you got the inspiration from, or maybe any of your favorite tracks?
I just talked a lot. I feel like I should let
Yeah.
another homie go.
If anybody wants to take it, or I can talk too.
I was just thinking, because this morning Javi texted us and he was just like, man, after this next album is done, I want to focus on singles, because it gets like a little hard to think about how to bring together a whole album, especially when we're not able to meet.
Yeah.
Like, yes. Oh my God, like why are we even in this like puzzle we've made for ourselves now? And like Foam,
Yeah.
personally to me feels like ages ago, but I remember at the time also feeling like this confusion of like, what are all these songs? I don't know.
For real. That's so true, Guillermo. Incredibly relatable what you just said. It does feel like that. I can't believe, honestly, sometimes I go back and I'm like, we finished albums? Like, how did we even do that? Because it's crazy to do that. Honestly, I remember even working at Foam, I had a legitimate thought that is just like in the middle of working, and I was just like, man, anyone who finishes anything, like if you finished writing a book, if you finish anything, like props, even if it's bad, honestly, as long as you put a period, like punto final, and it's done, damn, props. Because I just remember feeling like, man, we just need to finish, because honestly it took us 3 albums. We recorded 3 different albums, and it wasn't vibing, it wasn't working. But I guess something I can speak about Foam specifically what you said about your parents,
Mhm.
is that there was like a 5-year period in the making of Foam where I just remember we started really getting into the type of music that um, okay, so my dad used to be a politician, so like he had money and stuff like that. So I had like 2 mates and like a driver. And I remember one of my mates would mainly do the ironing, the ironing. And there's this specific type of music that you play when you iron, and it's the same type of music that my mom plays when she irons. It's just like Janet, Los Pasteles Negros, Los Angeles, whatever, Los Angeles Negros, whatever. Um, there's this kind of like, it's this 70s, late 70s type of like rock romantico or something like that. And I just remember hating that when I was a kid in Colombia. I just remember being like, this is the like cheesiest music, this is like super cursi, like ew. But I don't know, in the making of Foam, we started getting really into Jeanette specifically, which I remember just felt funny to listen back to that, because I'm like, oh my god, this reminds me of the weird ironing, the lady that would iron the songs she would like. And we started adapting, I think, a lot of elements from that in our music. Like we definitely like stuff that I guess at the time was pretty cheesy, and like we didn't really relate to. Yeah, we started implementing that on foam. So that I wanted to speak on that.
Yeah, no, I think that's one of the great things about music is like when you listen to it or you hear a song, it reminds you of a memory. Like it takes you back to that place, and you're like, oh my gosh, like this. Every time I hear this one song, um, it reminds you of a memory, whether it's good or bad.
Totally.
Which kind of leads me to my next question. One of my favorite songs on the album Foam is Maria. So what happened? What did you guys do to Maria? Why did she want to eat your heart? How did this happen? Like every time I hear this song, it like makes me so sad, but I want to just keep listening to it. It's like breaks my heart over and over again.
That's so funny. Yeah, that song honestly was like all the songs that I write lyrics to, by the way, all three of us write songs like in lyrics that we all sing. It's mostly Javi and I. Gia has like a couple songs here and there. But when it comes to my personal writing is often autobiographical. So it's out of an experience that I've had and like I try to put it into a song. Songs usually take me like a long time to write lyrics stuff. It's a process, you know.
Yeah.
But Maria is a song that is not autobiographical at all. It never. I mean, it probably I don't know. I probably have memories of having a broken heart or something like that. But that one is one of those few songs that came out just in one sitting. Like it took probably like 20 minutes to write or something like that. And it's because I think I was listening to another song by this band, but this other band. I don't want to say because I don't want to get in trouble. But I was listening to this band that had a part that I legit. It sounded like the music of Maria, and I remember listening to it while I was showering, and I just sang. It's an instrumental track, right? And I just sang the melody of Maria with all the lyrics and all at once. And I'm like, oh my god, I gotta write this down. And I just wrote it down, but I was singing to another song. Maria doesn't sound like that song anymore. We changed that enough, but that's how it happened. It's weird, and like I definitely remember thinking that there's this specific pain, like love pain, that kind of pain that you don't want to eat. You know, every time you think about what are they doing, damn. Like there's that pain that is it hurts like right here. This is like this. There's a black hole right here, and I just remember kind of writing a little bit from that angle, but that mystery. I wish I could come up with more songs like that. That's always the dream. Like,
Yeah.
I want to be tuned. Please give it to me again. But who knows how that happens? Yeah.
Lyrically, like that's another thing about songs. Like when I listen to music or songs, like I listen to the lyrics and the melody. Like I think you could even release Foam as like an instrumental album, and it would just like be amazing. But like when you listen to Maria, like again, it's like paints this picture. It's like I'm watching a movie. Like it is so. It's beautiful. It's a great song.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. So are you guys working on any other projects at the moment?
Yeah, that's all we're doing. But I let some of my homie talk. I'm just talking.
Yeah, we have a lot of tracks that we're working on. They're just like not done. You know, it's like we are amazing at sorting out ideas, and it's like incredibly really hard for us to finish them. But they're all sounding great. They all are really sick. I mean, even talking about Foam and going back to Maria, I feel like Maria was also a hard song to crack. There were a couple of times that we just like left a session of working on that track and being like, I don't know, something's weird
Totally.
on it. But we didn't give up, and like I mean that's kind of like what you have to go with tracks. You kind of have to discover them, and then eventually they'll blossom and they'll do the thing that they're supposed to do. You know, it's like a lot of the times you're trying to like force a track to be a certain way, and what you have to do is just let the track be what it is, even if it's not a hit, you know, a hit track or whatever or a single. Like a lot of the labels are just like, give me a single. I want to hear singles. I want to pitch you to like Spotify people. I'm just like, yeah, that's cool, man. Like, but if I think like that, my brain is gonna fucking hurt.
Yeah.
And so a lot of the times you just have to like let the creative flow go and And eventually, I think those tracks that are singles will, I don't know, like I hope we can break the rule of like what a single is, like, to be honest. Like with people, like something that I was like hearing recently was like a vocal has to be heard within 30 seconds of the song. And I'm just like, okay. Like I hear that a lot from like a lot of people, a lot of things, and I'm just like, but what if I don't want the vocal? Like, so so I don't know.
Sick.
Anyhow, so yeah, we have a lot of tracks that we're working on, and we're gonna finish them. It's just like it's a lot of the process that goes into it is like also finding out like who you are, and I feel like that's like, to me at least, some of the most difficult and cringy moments that we have on records, and or like in the process of making a song, because you're just like, you try a lot of stuff and then a lot of stuff doesn't work,
Yeah.
and then there's just like stuff that like just works, and it just because you play the song and your friends and you are like, yeah, I like this and this feels good. But to get to that point, it takes trial and error. Like, I don't know, like I don't know if it's, I don't even know if like knowing a lot of like music theory would even help you. Like, it could help you
Yeah.
at a certain point that you make a sick track, but like still, even after having all the elements, like I feel like even the top musicians are like struggling to figure out how to piece things together, and eventually they just like messing around with the puzzle so much they just crack it, and there's like, this is the combination. But yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry, Guillermo.
Oh, I was just gonna, I feel like I'm like coming to like a realization recently where I feel like a strong need to rebel against my obligations. So it's like,
Sick.
this needs attention, it needs work. But I'm like, I'm gonna go work on this one.
Yeah.
It's like, it may not be healthy, but like the things that I want to do when I need to do something, the things I want benefit greatly from my need to like pay attention to something else. So it's like my neglect is helpful for other things.
Yeah, man.
That's so true, dude. What you just said has like so much wisdom in it. It's so true. I definitely experienced that today. Oh my God. Like what Guillermo says it's super true. It's just like, it's easy to fall into the trap of finding yourself doing what you think you have to do as opposed to what you should be doing. You know what I'm saying? I think that a lot of the times, like if there's a God or like a higher force, is like the high force is like, all right, do this song, please. And we're like, oh no, I have to do this other thing. And the God is like, no, do the song. You're like, no, I must do my taxes.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh my God, it says the meeting has been upgraded. Okay, incredible.
You've been upgraded.
You've been upgraded, sick. I forgot what it is that we're talking about.
Yeah, like doing obligations and what you need to do.
Yeah, it's honestly, for me at least, it was very easy to just fall into. I mean, you can think about it in a general aspect of like, oh, I have to get a job. If I'm a guy, I must like women and I must wear blue and not pink. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's easy to fall into pattern from a general area and also from just a short, immediate type of thing. And I think it's important to be sensitive enough. Like, if you can like do what you want always and not get in too much trouble, it should be encouraged and done for sure.
Yeah, I think that's a really good lesson that I hope a lot of people got during this pandemic and during lockdown, because it's like, I know for myself, it made me reevaluate like where I spend my time, because that is like so valuable and you can't get that. Like even like, and even just like mundane things, like I would be like, oh, I gotta like cleaning my like house or something like dumb that's really dumb, and it's like, why would you stress out over that? Like, it's really not a big deal if I watch one more episode and then clean the house.
One more YouTube video, it's okay.
Yeah. Listen to Maria 10 more times and then I'll get
Hold on, I gotta dance.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, I've had like so much fun chatting with you guys. I only have a few questions left. And
Yeah.
it's probably the most important ones. These came from the viewers. One was, do you guys celebrate Valentine's Day and do you have a Valentine?
Yes, I have a Valentine.
Nice.
Her name is Kelsey, and we celebrate it in the sense where like we eat something nice and we watch a nice movie, and that's all. Something just sweet like that.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got a Valentine, Sarah, and we're planning a whole calendar shoot. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be super.
Whoa!
Cool.
What? Sick, dude. It's amazing.
What about
Yeah.
you, dear?
We celebrate Valentine's as well. I have a Valentine as well, and like I don't know, we're trying to do something else besides just like sitting around and watching shows or whatever. Like, so yeah, I mean, do celebrate it.
Yeah, actually, Valentine's Day is the 1 year anniversary when I started my blog, The Funky Latina. And so,
Ooh.
Happy anniversary.
thanks. A year later, most of it was in the pandemic, but that's okay. But I want to send you guys something, so I'll follow up later. And it's for your Valentines. I mean, I guess I'll send more
What?
you can share, but I wanted to give it to your Valentines.
That's so sweet. Thank you.
Of course, yeah, I'll follow up later. And then before we close out, my last question is, what was the first concert you went to?
I'll start because mine was like super mainstream, but also like dad rock. I was like 16, and we went to see The Who, and it blew my mind that concerts were a thing people went to.
So
Wow.
Yeah, same. I think actually my first concert was I went with Cam actually. It was a screamo concert in high school in Miami, and I was driving a 1995 Toyota Camry, and it was like the ones that like you like have the automatic like seat belts, like you basically like open the door and it just like and then you close the door and it like locks you. It's like to have a car, and then like suddenly we heard about this band called Set Fire to Failure that was playing at like some guy's mansion. Like it was like literally some dudes, some guy in our high school had a party, and his parents were out of town, and they lived in like a very lucrative part of Miami, like Miami Beach, and they literally had a whole mansion. And they had a PA speaker, and I just like saw this band. It wasn't even Set Fire to I think Set Fire to Failure like really like blew my mind, but I saw the first band and I saw them like scream like and it was like something like think like did something to my body, like I got goosebumps I think, and I was like, oh shit, this is so sick. And I think that was my first show, and it was very interesting.
Yeah, that was my first show too, because I was with Javi, and like as I said, like my experience with music is like I always have bands come into my house in Colombia as growing up to play birthday parties. But in terms of me making the decision of like, all right, I'm gonna go and see music that I wanna see, it was that high school show. And it was just local bands, but I just remember it was like, yeah, it was amazing. It was definitely like I wanna explore life like this. It was really cool. Yeah.
nice. That's awesome. Cool. Do you guys have any questions for me before we wrap up?
I don't, but thank you so much for hanging out with us. I've had such a good time with you. Thank you.
Thank you guys so much. I know like sometimes the time frame can be weird, different time zones. So I appreciate you guys being flexible and also taking time out of your evening as well. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
Of course.
sure.
All right. Well, I'm sending you guys spas, love, and funk. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.